Okay, so in this next video what we're going to do is we're going to look at starting to animate our character. So we've set our character up, so it's going to allow us a little flexibility in case we need to add any custom controls. But a really important thing that you need to be looking at is whenever, from the first semester, I hope you remember, whenever you were modeling anything, it was really key to pull any visual reference and have a nice kind of library of visual reference. And the same applies for when you start to animate different objects. So really crucial for users. You will hopefully be modeling and animating a biped for the tutorial that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be animating a quadruped. So I've been using one of the students' models that they've produced, just to mix things up a little bit, just to show you the process involved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find an image that's a page that's pretty useful. So what's really great about the animation survival kit is it gives us lots of information of how we can go about creating different walk cycles, and the main thing is just using this as a bit of a visual guide, much like when we were modeling, using any visual reference to help us out. So I'm just looking for a particular page similar to what I'm going to be animating to, and what I'm really looking for is this information here. So this bobbing kind of animation, so this rhythmic kind of action of the hips and the head bobbing up and down, and also these key poses at frame 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 and so on. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be animating a quadruped. What I would recommend you guys do is have some visual reference to hand, ideally as a series of GIFs or a series of thumbnails kind of like this. So I'm just going to minimize this. So what I've already got is I'm animating a horse, so what's really useful is to have some visual reference for me to use. So frame 1, what I need to do is select, let's just move this down so we've got a little bit more that we can see. Actually, I'll just see what we'll get when we kind of dock this to there. Okay, this is workable. It's a little bit smaller for me, but that's fine. Right, so we're looking at frame 1, and what we need to do is make sure that this button here is turned on, auto key. So auto keyframe toggle. I'm just going to slide this back over. I'm just working with quite a small screen. I'm working on my MacBook. So the first frame that we need to do is grab this foot, and I just want to point something out. When you're keying things, just key the items that we're going to be keying. For quickness, you could select everything and just hit S and it'll key all these attributes, but I'm just going to be keying the translate and rotation in this case. So it's pretty well planted, this foot at the front. I'm going to grab this foot at the back and just position this so. I'm going to grab this pole vector and then just pull this forward. I'm going to grab both pole vectors actually and pull these both forward. I can set this to the value of maybe 3. And just pull these forward, doesn't particularly matter too much. Let's just pull these both forward about there. Just making sure that was still working. And let's just quickly rotate this. And if we look here from the side view, this leg here is actually back a tiny little bit. Got a little bit of rotation. Let's just set this rotation there. Translate and rotation. Key this. Sorry, key all these. There we go. So we've got this first part of the leg set up. Obviously, this is a slightly different character. Obviously, the head's not going to be forward. It's going to be a bit more upright. And again, this front leg. Let's just grab this, and again, let's pull this back a touch. Let's maybe add a little bit of rotation to this. Pull this back a touch again. Get a little bit more. It's slightly more planted, but this is where we've allowed this adding in of different attributes, and we can start to add in any additional animation. So I'm just going to block the first few poses out and get this whole motion kind of set up, and then we can start adding in the foot roll. This is purely just to allow us a little bit of flexibility in. Let's say we just needed to add more controls, just so we can keep the whole workflow moving forward. So I'm just going to position this here like this. That looks kind of a little bit mental, and it kind of looks like his legs sort of snapped almost. So this It's a bit more vertical. Let's pull this, key this there, there's our first frame done. So again, this is our first frame there. Move along to frame 3, and what I'm going to do is, as a visual guide, look at frame 3 and position these up to kind of get a little bit of motion kind of happening. And this foot is just moved back ever so slightly. This foot here, the back foot, is now more planted, and a little bit less rotation. So this is forwarded a little bit on frame 1. It's much more vertical this frame, so let's just see what we get here. It looks like his legs broken somewhat. Let's just kind of pull this back a touch. So we're just using this as a little bit of a visual guide to see what we're getting. Okay, so see this kind of motion there. Let's go back to frame 3 and then let's have a little look at this front rear leg. So it's kind of extended a little bit more. And actually frame 1 I didn't actually key that, so that's my bad. Select all of this, translate and rotate, key, frame 3. It's much more extended if you compare the two. Let's just pull this out a little bit and a little bit of rotation. There we go. And what I'll quickly do is move on to frame 5. So, and then let's just grab this foot. It's a little bit more further forward, a little bit more kind of sort of flat. Let's just zero this rotation out, and then it's pretty good. And then we're just kind of blocking out these base sort of shapes, and then we can start adding in this additional foot roll and any extra controls that we want to add while we're just blocking out the main motion, and then we can add those in. So let's have a look at frame. So there we go. That's maybe a touch high. We just need to tweak that a bit. So again, because we've got auto key set, anything that will move is just going to be automatically keyed. You can see this in frame 3, it's very vertical. There's a slight bit more of a lean back towards it, still very much planted to the floor, but it's leaning back. So you can see there we've got this kind of nice little motion happening there. Frame 2, very vertical, this back leg there, but now we're starting to introduce a little bit more of the leg of a bend. So there we go, it's like planting there a little more, and then this extended, and then now it's sort of really extended where it's kind of lifting off almost. So the first 3 kind of frames, how we might go about, using a little bit of visual reference. You guys are obviously going to be animating this to a biped, but the same rules apply. You would have some visual reference for your various frames. So I'm just keyframing this every 2 frames, and these slices were taken from muybridge. I don't know if anybody's aware of these. These are really cool slides from early 19th century, just to capture the movement of different people, animals, different motions, and it's a really useful visual guide for you guys just to get a sense of movement and motion. And the key thing is just plotting those keyframes down and then sort of getting a sense initially of the movement and the weight shifting, and then once we've got these basic principles in place, we can start to look a little bit more at the graph editor and start to add a little bit more personality to each of our animations, and that's what we're going to be looking at. I'm going to plot out this animation as we go, and then we're going to start to look at the graph editor in the next video. So I'm going to block out this whole animation of the walk, and then the graph editor will come next. So I'm gonna see you in the next video.